in one of my recent YouTube videos, I had a box in the background. I did not think anybody was going to see or notice this box as my fat head was covering it. However, I was very, very wrong. And within minutes of uploading this video, I was contacted by multiple people on Instagram, TikTok, Discord, most notably one specific user, to inform me that the company this box had sourced from was batshit insane. Now, I'm not just talking dropshipping accusations or like a little bit of shady like AI usage on TikTok. No, I'm talking full-on sexual abuse, grooming, art theft, crazy, crazy stuff. So before we get into this video outlining the document that I was provided by this lovely user on Discord, I'm just going to do a quick trigger warning if you are sensitive to any topics surrounding grooming, exploitation of children. This video is probably not for you, and I would suggest clicking off and looking at some of my other content that's a little bit less scary. But if you're down to clown, let's fucking get into it. If you are in any fandom, whether that be a game, a TV show, a movie, an anime, you name it, if it has cute characters or even broody, mysterious, dark e-boy characters that can be turned into a marketable plushie, you've probably seen this company on TikTok. They are absolutely everywhere. They make these cute little cat meow versions of your favorite anime characters. They make little bears at Five Nights at Freddy's characters. They are admittedly adorable, but they are not licensed. They are bootleg plushies, and I think most people purchasing these products is aware of that. However, bootlegging is not the main issue. When it comes to this seemingly adorable company, there is a huge, huge dark underbelly of just insane happenings within their Discord, from their staff members, and their products as a whole. With that being said, let's jump into the first and potentially the worst issue regarding this company. Now, this document details a whole bunch of issues when it comes to this company. The one I am most concerned with and will start this video with is in regards to minor safety. For the whole grooming situation to make sense, I'm going to have to first get into the mod behavior and the Discord server as a whole. So I promise we'll get into it, but first I need to explain Marumi. So Meow Shop as a store does not have very good customer service. All of the communication to and from and surrounding their business seems to be centered in a Discord and a Discord only. So any sales, restocks, discounts, updates, moderation, etc. is only happening via the Discord. This becomes extremely important later. So anyone outside of this really specific exclusive Discord group, anybody who doesn't have an invite, who hasn't found it yet, cannot be informed on the business, any of the concerns, any of the issues, any of the updates, anything, okay? So if you're not on the Discord, you're blind, you're deaf. With that being said, in this server of over 5,000 members, there is only one moderator, and their name is Marumi. Now, it's very normal for a Discord server to have multiple moderators, a handful of moderators. For example, my Discord server only has about 1,000 people. It's a complete mess. It is absolute filth. I will admit that myself. A lot goes on there, and there's not a lot of control happening because we're all just guys in our mom's basements trying our best to keep it under control, right? But we have almost 10 moderators, and that becomes extremely important when you consider time zones. For example, when I am asleep and I am not able to control the server, if it gets hacked, if people are fighting, that kind of thing, somebody else who is online in a different part of the world can jump in and take control of the situation. Now, the Plushshop server has 5,000 members and only one moderator. There were previously helpers who were volunteer workers for the server. However, when Marumi became the main moderator, she revoked all of their permissions to help or do anything in the server. Meaning, when she is asleep or she's not active, which is quite often, allegedly, the server is completely unprotected. When many users and even previous helpers essentially begged Marumi to fix this issue, she ghosted them or promised some kind of solution and then ghosted them again. The server was hacked in March of 2025. It was actually a helper who stopped the hack because Marumi was not active. They restored the server and worked to try and help people protect their devices. Marumi stripped the safety, preventing intervention if it were to occur again. After realizing the helpers were an important part of the server and having lost 2 helpers due to her negligent and stubborn behavior, Marumi opened helper applications. The new helpers that applied included a member who had been party to repeated harassment towards Plushshop members, and there was clearly not a good enough screening process as the new helpers had conflicting information and struggled to answer questions in a streamlined way. They were causing even more concern and panic within users because they just weren't communicating amongst each other. Here comes arguably the worst part. Due to this lack of moderation, minors were able to access adult channels. For some reason, in this plushie Discord, there are channels that are 18 plus. They were intended for only adults. Now, normally in Discord, moderators put roles and permissions in the way so that children cannot access channels like this. However, Marumi wasn't doing that. When a minor raised concern about how an oversight allowed them to access this adult channel, they did the right thing and they reported the issue and they were banned for lying about their age. Let me be clear, let me break this down for you because I don't believe they were lying about their age. When you were a child, as I was a child, a lot of you guys were childs. A lot of you guys were children, I hope, and some of you guys are even currently children. If you're in a place that has seemingly adult regulated activities and you're not supposed to get in there, and you see like a glaring button that allows you to get in there and see what's happening and just experience it, wouldn't you click it? Like, even from a safety standpoint, which I assume this child was coming from, if you saw that there was a way for you to get into a dangerous place, wouldn't you report it? Like, make it known? You're gonna do it. You're a child. And this child did the right thing. They could have kept silent and been like, ooh, this is my little secret. I'm a child in the 18 plus channel. They reported it and they were banned. They were not granted any sort of appeal. They were essentially punished for doing the right thing. This begins a very noticeable pattern of Marumi being extremely ban-happy, especially regarding any sort of criticism or calls for accountability. But she is far more lenient towards users who are inappropriate towards minors, joke about marrying teenagers, and other extremely serious offenses. She does this while closing tickets of things that she just doesn't want to deal with. Members were muted for speaking out against stolen art. Members were muted for bringing up concerns about AI. We'll get into these a little bit later in the video. And a member was celebrating their positive experience with the customer service and was randomly banned for 24 hours. When they asked why, it was apparently because they were muted for saying the words against PS. These words are blacklisted in the server as of June. So, for example, if you were in the server and you wanted to say, I don't know why anybody is against Plushshop, they're so great, you will get banned for just using the words against Plushshop. She will constantly ban people for quote-unquote being aggressive, but then provide absolutely zero proof of them being aggressive. One of the most serious issues regarding Marumi's moderation and minor safety was that on several occasions, Marumi was informed via the ticketing system that there was a user messaging members who admitted that they were under 18. This user was an adult. They would ask the children to join their own private server and submit a link. For anybody who doesn't know how Discord works, if you're in a public server, it's usually a very common rule for moderators to say, hey, please don't invite anybody to your private server. Because it's like walking into a big, open, full room of people, thousands of people, like say a convention center. And then you're walking up to individual children and saying, hey, do you want to come back to my private room? Moderators have no control over what this link is, what the children are joining into, and what is going to happen to them in that server. So it's generally a blanket rule in servers, specifically popular ones, that anybody, especially adults, cannot invite children back into their own private server. When Marumi was informed about this problem, can you guess what she did? She banned the children who were receiving the link. She banned the children who were being allegedly groomed. She punished the children for reporting that a man was trying to invite them back into a private space to talk about God knows what. When a mother of one of these children contacted Marumi regarding this concern, she was also banned from the server. When Plushshop themselves, the company, was confronted with this information, they excused the behavior and claimed that they couldn't prevent children from being messaged by adults. The adult who sent the link to the children asking them to join their private server is still in the Plushshop Discord and messaging minors. There were multiple other points in this document regarding minor safety, but as of the 16th of the 9th of this year, some of the evidence has been removed at the request of the minors involved. So obviously I'm not going to include or go over that, but just to make it clear, there were other minor safety issues, but they have since been removed because the minors didn't really want it listed in this document. With the child safety issues out of the way, we're going to go on to issue number 2. This is stolen artwork and the treatment of artists involved in their website. So obviously it is very clear that Plushshop's plushies are not licensed. They are bootlegs. They release a meow and then they deal with the consequences when IP holders request to take down later. They don't ask permission to turn any of these characters into a plushie. They don't contact any of the original owners of the artwork of the designs of these characters. They just make the plushie, pray for it to be there, and then if somebody complains and takes it down, guess what they do? They do not honor takedown requests, and they continue to sell the meows. Or if they hit a wall where they cannot use the images or the name anymore due to the complaints, they offer customers a way to circumvent these takedown requests by telling the customers that they can order a random meow and then send them an email or a message telling them secretly which banned meow they would actually like. Not only is this extremely illegal, but it's extremely disrespectful of the artists involved. Now, if you're like me and you don't really care about Sega, for example, a giant multi-million-dollar company complaining about somebody using Sonic in their plushies, you should care when it comes to smaller creators, like the creator of Dandy's World, the creator of Mouthwashing, or George Revere Herons from Epic the Musical. They are also having their work taken without permission and sold. In the case of Dandy's World, mass production of plushies is not allowed, and Qual also specifically addressed Plushshop's meow plushies and asked for them to be taken down. In regards to Mouthwashing, this one hits home for me because Mouthwashing is one of my favorite franchises, favorite games to ever exist. From the first playthrough, I was obsessed with it. It's such a beautiful, yet equally dark and disturbing story. I am obsessed with the characters. I'm obsessed with the art. I'm obsessed with the story. Everything about it. I love it so much, and I will do everything in my power to financially support and promote the creator of that game. However, Plushshop does not agree. They sold plushies of characters from this game, and when it was requested to be taken down, they continued to sell them, and then once that was taken down, they are again still offering these plushies if people send them a secret message requesting it instead of ordering directly through the website. In the case of George with Epic the Musical, they're putting stolen art in their ads. The art Stick to the Meow is by Gigi on YouTube, etc., etc. Not only are they selling stolen characters as plushies, they're advertising them with stolen art. Continuing on the topic of art theft, not only are they stealing from game creators, animators, etc., they're stealing from literally just random artists on TikTok and Twitter. For example, these acrylic charms and keychains are stolen art from this artist on Twitter. Another TikTok artist had their animation stolen for a promotion. Roy Cartoons, an animator for Spindle Horse, Hell of a Boss Studio, had his artwork stolen for an ad. This user had their art stolen for badges. This person on Twitter had their art stolen for apparel. I know I'm laughing. It's not funny. It's just crazy to me as I'm going through this document how many examples of this there are. I'm going to give one more, but there are plenty more. If you want to go down in the description and look through the document, there is an insane amount of small artists who are just being blatantly stolen from. This person specifically was a designer for Plushshop. They provided designs to Plushshop to be used and obviously would get compensation in return. However, this design they made for Yato was stolen one-to-one with no communication occurring between Plushshop and Kay. Plushshop was asked to remove their art as he was leaving the Plushshop community due to issues that are outlined above in the document. They did not comply with this, and instead just straight up stole it. If that isn't enough for you, and you're still thinking that you want to buy from the store because they have such great reviews, let me tell you, the reviews are not real. Plushshop uses manipulative tactics to remove, silence, and delete any negative reviews that they receive on their website or through any partnered review sites. They mostly use Trustpilot, where they offer a 5% coupon code to anybody who leaves an extremely positive review. This is bribery. And for anybody who did not take the bribe and is leaving a negative review outlining their very real negative experiences with this company, they're being removed. They're misusing the Trustpilot flagging system and just completely deleting any negative reviews that they receive. Now, on their own website, they use a service called judge.me, which also allows the business to just delete any reviews that they want. So all of these positive reviews you're saying, yeah, they might be real, they might be true, but there's also a huge chance they were bribed into making this review, or there are 50 other negative reviews that came before it that were just completely removed from the internet as a whole. As mentioned earlier in the video briefly, Plushshop does make custom plushies. This is a great service that a lot of stores provide. However, Plushshop is extremely fucking shady about it. For example, when they provide a custom design for somebody, for example, you approach them and you say, hey, can I have a plushie made of my OC? I created them myself. Or, hey, can you make a plushie of my favorite character? They will charge you around $500 to $600 USD. And on multiple occasions, they have promised users who are ordering these custom plushies that they will never be a public design. Like if you ask them to make a plushie of your favorite, Pokemon, they made it for you, it was $600, that is your plushie, your own individual custom plushie, and they will not be remaking it for anybody else. You designed it, you helped them design it, it's yours, right? On multiple occasions, They then took this design that they had promised was private and would never be public, turned around, and immediately started mass producing it as a public product for $50 for anybody who wanted it. Not only that, but people who are shelling out 600 clams for a plushie of their favorite character are receiving customs that don't have clothing, that have clothing that is actually completely non-functional, that don't look anything like the character, and are getting no response in return. One buyer was banned from their Discord after being upset about AI usage and had no way of reaching out to Plushshop other than emails and social medias, all of which were almost entirely ignored. As mentioned earlier, they really only work in the Discord, so if you're banned there and you're paying them $600 for something, you have no way of communicating with them about this extremely expensive product that you rightfully paid for and rightfully deserve to receive. As of July 2025, they now have new rules for their customs, which force customers to agree to never criticize if they release their custom in the future. So again, if you are promised that you're getting a private custom plushie for $600 and they turn around and sell it to other people for $50, you are legally agreeing that you cannot criticize them or complain about this. That's insane. If you are a customer who's on the lookout for a custom plushie, you may go to Etsy or other small websites, maybe even just an Instagram seller, to try and get a custom plushie of your persona, your OC, your favorite character, whatever. It is very common for small artists, crocheters, knitters, people who sew, to sell custom plushies. Meowshop goes out of their way to hunt down customers who are seeking sales, seeking customs from other small artists, and essentially poaches them. Now, let's just say you are a regular customer. You're not buying one of these extremely expensive custom plushies. You're just looking for one of their normal little kitty cat meow plushies, right? Their customer service is insane if your plushie isn't up to your standards. For example, if it arrives with no face, it arrives with holes, it arrives with its limbs upside down. These are all extremely common problems. Customers are usually told to fix their own product and only offered a voucher, which is a fraction of the original cost. Oh, your plushie is overstuffed? Have your grandma fix it. Here's $10. Oh, it's got a hole in it. It's damaged. It's not a big problem. You can fix it yourself. Here's $5. Additionally, errors in the names of the meows have almost led customers to being sent the wrong orders. In one particular case, the customer ordered a pre-order item and an in-stock item. And when their pre-order item was ready to ship, the company had not put their in-stock item aside for them. So they hadn't prepared the items for their order when it was ready to ship, and instead of getting what they paid for, they were just told to select a replacement. Plushies that were advertised as 18 inches or 45 centimeters were not even 40 centimeters. When customers pointed this issue out, they were banned from the Discord. After receiving so many complaints for this, Meowshop finally gave in and offered refunds only through the Discord. Once again, if you were an email subscriber or somebody who just bought from TikTok or the website, you would have no idea or no way of receiving a refund for your plushie that was completely falsely advertised because you weren't in this exclusive little group. The server was later hacked and nuked, so the messages that were offering refunds to customers in these situations were gone, leaving thousands of potential customers with no idea that they were overpaying for an item that is not what it is described as. Customers have been sent test products without being informed that they're not a finished product, and claims that they are made by fans for fans isn't upheld. Most of the designs on their website are completely Plushshop created and owned, which, again, is false advertisement. An entire batch of Joker plushies from Persona 5 went out with zero quality control checks. Dozens of customers received plushies with no face, no neck fur, and other errors. Again, no offer was sent out for a refund beyond the Discord. Customers who aren't in the Discord had to chase down customer service for a refund or replacement, which again, is usually ignored. If customers reject the offer of a $10 coupon and to fix it themselves, they are told they can return the product, but they must cover the full return shipping price. Or they're offered a $20 coupon instead, as if this fixes the issue. Finally, and potentially controversially, this company has a huge history of using AI, or as a lot of people like to call it, AI slop. A lot of their collabs are made with no proof, no concept, and only AI-generated examples. Their Plushshop bot is a premium paid version of Me 6, which has its own ethical issues, such as scamming its users with NFTs, harassing users in DMs with advertisements, and generating not safe for work content to minors. Their ads are created with AI. Murumi, the mod we mentioned before, responds to valid concerns from the helper team with AI-generated responses. Now, there are a lot more, trust me, so many more issues outlined in this document, which will be linked in the description. If you would like to go through and see points that I never mentioned or images and videos to back up some of the points that were mentioned in this video, please go ahead and do it because it is crazy. This is a huge rabbit hole that I was not expecting. I obviously knew when purchasing from this company in the past that there were issues with the products being unlicensed. Like, I was aware that there was something a little bit shady going on, but I had no way of knowing how deep this actually goes. And I am absolutely not telling you guys to throw away and burn your plushies if you purchased from this store before. I'm not going to do that. I purchased from them. I think this is a really good learning experience, a really good example in showing you guys that it's actually really important to do research on the companies that you're going to be purchasing from. If you have the time and you have the means and the ability to just do even a quick Google search about the companies that you're purchasing from, if they're not a well-known huge brand, might be a little bit harder to find stuff, but bare minimum, do a Google search, see if there's anything crazy happening. Like, you would be so surprised. For example, you're buying clothes, Dole Scale, give them a Google, they're racist. They have really weird rapey designs. Meow Shop, if you didn't Google it, you wouldn't know that there is essentially like a child trafficking ring happening in their Discord server. Like, the stuff that goes on behind the scenes of businesses is shady, and hopefully you guys are a little bit more aware of it because you have been consuming my content. With that being said, I love you guys. I hope you consume more of my content. I'm probably going to be a little bit inactive on the internet for the next couple of weeks, hopefully only weeks, because I am working on buying a house. I am an adult. It is scary stuff, but hopefully, by the end of the year, I will have purchased a house and moved into it. But it's very, very hard for me to create content while I'm stressing about all of that stuff. So I promise I don't hate you guys. I promise I'm not like leaving my channel and ignoring you forever. I'm just a very busy guy. I love you guys. I will be back on my own time. Mwah.